Get this
Hello,
out here.
here
Hang
is
on.
Ulysses Lavaroni for Cyclical Dreams. We have a very, really nice special guest today. Is John Scott Shepherd from the United States. A really special career about him, and we want to say welcome, John.
Hello, it's nice to be on your program. Thank you very much.
We are happy to be with you. We are happy to have you on Cyclical Dreams program. Cyclical Dreams is a new starting label that is focalized on ambient and Berlin school music and space music and all those things. And we feel from the first time that you will fit perfect on this program. So that's why we are working together with you. And also you are working with Interactions Project 2. So you are involved in many projects and collaborating with South America, especially with Argentina. So we are very grateful about because
Yes.
it's very nice. It's a very nice attitude. We are uh, growing day by day in this community of electronic musicians. So, John, we want to in this. I know it's a very short interview, but anyway, this we have the space to talk about very interesting subjects. And first of all, it's our interest and to know about how do you arrive to music, to the intention to make music, considering your incredible, past about constructing a very real giant antenna and manipulating waves for decades. So how do you arrive to decide to make music and how it was that process?
Well, I guess I'll start at the beginning. I used to listen to programs like Music from the Hearts of Space and listen to a lot of Michael Stern's music back in the day because I also broadcasted music into space. That was one of the things that Project Strat did. We sent music into space. So, and I loved space music. It's kind of ironic that it was called space music, but that's what it was. It was ambient, electronic, German Dream School, Tangerine Dream. Michael Stern's kind of stuff, and on and on. I've got a list a mile long of music like this that I grew up listening to when it was happening at that time. Since I'm 70 years old now, I've heard a lot of those things. I've heard the beginning of the rock era too. But once I heard this space music or electronic ambient music, I just became enchanted. It was a magical thing for me. So I've always had a connection with music and musicians. My brother is a musician. He plays bass, acoustic double bass, and he's been in quite a few jazz bands and other groups. So, and I've played music or done sound effects with him on a few occasions or some of their more specialized projects. So I've had a connection with sound and music for most of my life. And when I was building all those electronic machines, I also had built sine wave signal generators. And I was making sounds, mixed sounds and frequencies with those. The very primitive synthesizer, if you will, but sort of like the BBC Radiophonic Workshop and some of the things they did there. That was how I started out. And that was years ago. That was back in the 70s and 80s. So what I'm doing today with music was maybe tempered or inspired by some of those earlier projects. And now that the electronics is available, I mean, pre-built, it makes it a little easier. I don't have to build every machine by hand and spend a couple of years building a single instrument. So, and it's interesting for me in a very, very unique way because my interest in space and astronomy and the outer worlds and dream states all tie in with the ambient electronic soundtrack space music kind of medium, if you will, that particular form of music. So I think it's just like a natural integration for me. And playing it, that's where the real magic happens. It's one thing to listen to other folks and what they do. It's inspiring and beautiful. But what's really amazing is when you sit down and you actually can create those musical moments, those special points in time and sounds in time. And they come together and they sound wonderfully. They don't sound all whacked out. They sound really magical. They inspire. They bring a soul. There's a soul to it. Maybe a little more spacey than jazz or rock, but it has soul. It has depth. It has inspirational qualities and visionary qualities. Most of all, the visions I have, I see things in my mind visually very detailed, and I can take a journey. And when I sit down at the keyboards or the instruments here to play or create music, it's like I'm taking a journey and like I'm living a movie or seeing a movie in my mind. So I do the sound score to that film. Or sometimes I'll just sit down and there won't be a picture in my mind, but I'll pick out some frequencies and set some things and work around for maybe a while, tune up, if you will. And I find a range of sounds that I want to work with. Then I dive in. And when I dive into those sounds, before I know it, there's something wonderful happening. It's working, it's flowing, it just flows for me. And it's like some days I'll sit down here in the studio and work on uh, maybe 2 or 3 tracks, and it'll take me 2 or 3 hours. Then other days, in 2 hours, I produce 8 really nice tracks. So it's kind of interesting how that unfolds. So for me, it's like a magical journey, and it comes naturally. I don't know. I have to be honest. I don't know how to write music note per note or know all my notes,
But
but I know
but
what really
so,
sounds good.
but sorry, you always improvise, or you found some, I don't know, you work around an idea of a chord or something like that, or you just jump to the keyboard and look for the sound you are looking for without any consideration of some, I don't know, harmonically relationships, or it's about all improvisation, or you have before plans that, how is it?
Primarily improvisation. It's pretty much, I will go over there and I'll maybe sort through maybe 100, 200 different frequencies or tones or notes that I want to work with, or chords. And then when I find what I want to work with, then I like, I know what I want to do with these. And then I start creating, I start playing them out and working them out. And before long, I've got something's happening, it's working. And the recorders are running, the equipment's running. Most of the time, I hardly ever have to edit or clean anything up. It comes out not really nice. It's a complete piece of work. And that's what I really like, is it flows smoothly. The most of the days it's really good. I think I only had one off day where maybe out of 4 pieces I had 1 or 2 that were really good, and the rest were kind of like, well, they're interesting, and I put them in the vault and let the dust collect on them.
It's like it is like this. So,
Yes,
the process of composition, it's about matching ideas and visions and experiences and translating it into music. So, I think it's very interesting to ask you the second one, because it's very related. Is how do you arrive to make an album, a recording, for example, for this one that you are going to publish with Cyclical Dreams? How do you arrive to this selection of things, and how it was your process? Because you you always, I mean always, you have some tone generators from sine waves and all those old generators, and I think you start with this and you experiment with frequencies, difference of shiftings and filters and whatever. But then
right.
one day you go and buy a synthesizer, and another day you go and buy another one. So you
Yeah.
start, yeah, because it is like this.
You can't stop.
Yes, it is like this. It's what happened to everyone here. And yeah, that's amazing. Because there are incredible machines that provide us an infinite possibilities of creative stuff. But how was your process? You start. I think I saw you first with a mini log, for example, and
Right.
then I saw you with another one and another one and another one. So it is, and now with an Arturia, um, the Matrix Brute, isn't it? So
Yes.
yeah, so that is happening. It's you have to build out a new part of your home for all those new friends. And how it was
Yes.
your process in creativity when you decide to buy synthesizers and then another one because you understand that this is going well, and then you finally create an album that you are going to publish in Cyclical Dreams. What is the process?
Right. You know, it's really interesting because that I bought that little mini log, that Korg mini log thingy, and I thought, well, I'm just going to buy this and play around with it, try it out, see if I can do anything useful with it, you know, or get anything sensible out of it. And it didn't take me more than a week or two before I was starting to record some really nice things, nice patterns, pieces. Actually, it got better and better. In about a month or two, it was really starting to shine. I thought, boy, this is getting, and I was going through everything in there and changing settings and doing a bunch of things and realizing that, boy, I'm getting to know this instrument really well. Now I can just form and shape the sound the way I want, you know, all this, and create the pieces I want based on my ideas or my visions. And it was working great. And I've got probably 150, 200 pieces I've recorded with just that instrument and a echo effects rack mount studio echo effects unit, and they're pretty wild. There's some metallic spheres is one of them, and there are a few others I can think of that are just out there. And they're really nice. They're quite spacey, different approach than most people I've heard, which is kind of gives a unique flavor to the music. But once I did that, once I realized I kind of, oh boy, I think I figured this thing out to the point now I may be outgrowing this unit, but I can use it as a unit along with my other equipment. And so I need to get another synthesizer. That was the first thing I realized. I got to get another one. So the next one was the Roland JDXI, which is like the most friendly synthesizer a person can play or work with. It's very friendly. It's very easy to work with, but you still have to know where you want to go with it. And that thing within a week. I was like really cruising on that unit. So, and I added that in with my, the little mini log, and would do mixes and things together with the two of them. And I was getting these wonderful flavors and textures in the sound. I thought, oh, this is a blast. Oh, gee. And by the time I got another 3 or 4 months into that, doing that way, but both of those, I added a Korg K Oscillator Pro for loops and sound effects and different types of effects, primarily in voice. I put my voice in there and did some voice stuff, like spoken word and some of the more spooky pieces. And so I had 3 instruments by that time. Then I realized after another month or two, boy, I think I'm ready for a Deep Mind 12. And that's the next one I got was a Deep Mind 12, and I love that thing. Everything you've heard lately that's new, that and the JDXI and the K Oscillator Pro and whatever other little gadget I can throw in is what I've been recording with. And of course, now I'm at the point where, well, give me another 2 to 3 months on that um, DeepMind 12, and I'll probably be ready to fire up and plug in the Brute Matrix Brute, which I've already been playing around with. And it's amazing. That thing is like a semi-modular dream machine. It's the closest thing I've come to modular synth, and I love it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, so that's how it rolled, kind of developed, and I'm still got a lot more I can do now that I've got all this. I've just got it going good, but I need to get that. It's in my bedroom on top of the dresser, the Matrix Brute, because there's no room in the living room studio for it. We got this thing full, and yeah, I'm going to have to run
Prepare the
cables, and
fall, yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
not enough room.
they take everything. It's a history in everyone that have synthesizer. They are all my stuff is in my living room here. I'm completely
Wow.
full of things. This is what's happening, man. So that's very beautiful um, because you played with waves for so long, but not
Yes.
to create art, and then you start to create art. So we can say something like you explore the waves for decades, and then you start to make art with something that is absolutely familiar for you, because you know pretty well what is an oscillator and what is a filter and what is all the devices that control the synthesizer. So the synthesizer in itself, maybe it's new, but not the components and the way of thinking about the waves. So it's a very, I mean, quite unique
Yeah,
approach. It's like you have a very hard training on waves, and then you make music with them. Just
right,
like this.
exactly. And yeah, and I was always working with the electronics and the sine wave signal generators and all of that sort of thing. So it was something that came really natural in the sense of sound and waves and the harmonics you could set up and create to interface with each other and phase shift and do things like that. I used to have I have photos which I should have sent you, but you may have seen them on the my website, of oscilloscopes, giant screen oscilloscopes, big cathode ray tubes with all the audio frequencies shifting and moving in phase and in and out of phase with each other. And I would set up those patterns using 2 or 3 or 4 signal generators and have them moving and shifting in time and space on that screen. And I could see it as well as hear it and listen to it. So it was an incredible visual, artistic, sonic experience. It was a complete thing with the visual part. And it's still to this day, it's a little like that, although I don't have the big screen oscilloscope set up. I do have the smaller oscilloscopes like you
Yes,
see in the
I see.
studio like this. And I use those for mixing my signals sometimes and clarifying them and watching them too. It's really a blast. And it works really well that way. So it's smaller, but it works. And I love seeing it
Yes,
visually. There's a
sure.
magic in the visual part. So,
Completely, and it's a very interesting part of the information from the waves. And so I notice you are so enthusiastic about this. So I think it's coming a lot of things. I think you are going to fill the space with your music now. This is now. This is what is happening. I think that the following year you are going you are going to make a lot tons of tracks, because you
yes,
have a beautiful new toys and this love for all of those things that we can go deeply. So
yes.
there's a lot of
Um,
music to be
it
heard.
is. Matter of fact, I'm up to 456 tracks or better right now that have been recorded.
And
There
you
aren't enough record labels.
Yeah, and you record everything on a computer in a
Oh no, no.
in a
I
multi-track,
only
or how do you record?
actually, okay, I'm going to try and show you exactly where it's done or how it's done. There is a piece of equipment that's if you can see that, a Gemini DRP1 um,
Okay.
digital recorder that uses either thumb drives or the small SD cards, and it's a high resolution wave recorder. We'll record in wave or MP3, but I record at 44.1 kilohertz and of
Yeah.
course 16 to 24-bit sampling rate on that. And I record that right off a program board or mixer board. If you can see the mixer here, there's a lot of light coming in. I'm trying to make it
Yeah, yeah,
visual.
yeah, yeah.
It's one of the main boards that I use,
So
and I mix my.
you mix the synthesizers on the fly and record
Oh,
the on
that's
in
right.
yeah.
Everything's mixed, primary mix here, and then mix it. And there's still another mixer that I use up here as well. Sometimes I'm mixing 4 to 6 things at once. So
Yeah.
sometimes I use the Mackie here as well to mix to the recorder. And then the special effects unit there, that one unit, the zoom unit there in the silver, is the effects unit that you can set echo, depth, delay, and so on and so forth to create the sounds that you want. Tailor the sound almost perfectly for any imaginary landscape.
Amazing. So you are playing the music, and all the music is driven by the mixers and the effects, and record directly on that machine, and
Hmm.
that's it.
That's it. Yep. And then if
Great,
there's
great.
anything
It's very
else,
interesting
well, I do.
because, as you know, nowadays most of the people, including me, use computers, and you go straight right because it's your way, and I like it. It's absolutely your way, and that's
It is.
absolutely authentic. And this is very
Yes. The
important
only
for
thing
art.
I
This
use,
is art.
yeah, and the only thing I use my computer for is for final mastering, where I just simply trim the ends of the recording and normalize the recording or clean up a couple of glitches or something. I do have studio editing software by NCH that works really good, but that's all I use it for. I don't, once in a while, maybe if I want to make something that's like a three-piece thing, I'll create a three-piece track and set the tracks up that way. But normally I just record it straight to the machine. It's whatever happens over here at the keyboards and at the effects units, that's what gets recorded. It's straight out, pretty much right out the door.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting process. Very interesting.
Different. Yeah, very live.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, yeah, very intuitive as well. In a sense, I mean, like go
Yeah.
straight right. So that's beautiful. Okay, John, thank you so much for your collaboration for Cyclical Dreams. Thank you so much for this time. So thank
Welcome.
you, and we love to have your work in our programs and in our publishings, and I hope hear a lot of music from you from the next year. I'm sure I will. So that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like you to stay in touch and I will send you some more material. And I'm posting on Bandcamp quite a bit of it as well. So it's available. And I certainly would love to send you personally some more material at any time that you're interested and you have the time available. I love Cyclical Dreams.